I can redo it. Hey, this is Benjamin Boyce. How you guys doing? So I am just processing a lot of the images and the media that's being produced right now with regards to the current state of America. If you're in the future, I'm talking about a continued series of protests around Black Lives Matter that has been going on for a couple of weeks now, or a week and a half now, or however long it's been going on. So I want to talk about two instances of, let's say, justice that I've found. And I think one instance of justice is actually beautiful and transcendent, and the other is satanic and derogatory or vulgar and brings down the discourse to the lowest possible common denominator, which would be simply power. So I'm going to start with the negative one, and then we'll go on to the positive one.
Jacob Fry, we have a yes or no question for you. Yes or no, will you commit to defunding Minneapolis Police Department?
Abolition of it?
What did I say? We don't want no more police. Is that clear? We don't want people with guns toting around in our community, shooting us down. You have an answer? It is a yes or a no. It is a yes or a no. Will you defund the Minneapolis Police Department? All right, be quiet, y'all. Be quiet, because it's important that we actually hear this. It's important that we hear this, because if y'all don't know, he's up for re-election next year. If y'all don't know, he's up for re-election next year. And if he says no, guess what the fuck we gonna do next year? Louder, one more time.
Loud and clear.
Louder.
Yeah. I do not support the full abolition. All right. Get the fuck out of here. You're wasting our time. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out. Go home, Jacob. Go home. Go home, Jacob. Go home. Go home, Jacob. Go home. Go home, Jacob. Go home.
So on June 6th, the mayor of Minneapolis, his name is Jacob Frey, was given an ultimatum. And this is very similar to anybody who has watched my Evergreen footage. This is very similar to what happened at the Evergreen State College, where the leader of the Evergreen State College, George Bridges, was pilloried by the students demanding him to act better. And George Bridges allowed the students to walk all over him, and he gave them everything that he could, except for legally said he couldn't do a few things like fire people on the spot. I read this a little bit differently insofar as the mayor, Jacob Frey, was just honest and said, I'm not going to abolish the police. But the similarity is with the ways in which the protesters were yelling at him and the vulgarity inherent in that yelling at him and that casting of him as shameful for not doing the will of the mob. That level of discourse should be absolutely, without a doubt, cast aside and disparaged and mocked. Whatever you can do to stop that from perpetuating itself, you should do. Short of violence. Do not be violent. Do not be violent. Do not be violent. But absolutely, we need to take a very firm stand against that form of mob behavior. And I know this might sound prudish, but when your activism involves vulgarity, when you're saying fuck you a whole lot, that fuck you, it's actually operating on a very lower level of thinking. It's actually evoking a visceral reaction. It's lowering the discourse into a power dynamic. It's an assertion of power. And that form of power is that you bow to my will. I'm going to fuck you, right? Please put that around quotes so I don't get demonetized. With that said, there's another image that has surfaced in my timeline, washing the feet of the organizers and asking for forgiveness, quote unquote, Cary, North Carolina, or New Connecticut. Can never tell those two things apart. So what we have is apparently some public servants washing the feet of two middle-aged black individuals. They're called organizers. The black woman in the foreground is lifting her hand up like this, which is evocative to me of a church service. Now, what we have is the leaders of the community bowing down to the organizers of the community. And this can cause a lot of different reactions. It's very, very powerful. And I have, in the past week or so, taken a stand against kneeling. And I think that there are forms of kneeling that are not appropriate for public officials to be doing. You don't kneel to the mob. However, this image in and of itself actually strikes to the heart of this thing called Christianity. And if you don't know, Christianity is part of the deepest fabric of Western society. Whether we call ourselves Christian or not, that symbology and that mindset permeates our culture. And insofar as we are secular, it's within the bounds of a Christian view of the world. One of the essential aspects of Christianity is the notion of service, of the last shall be first. And what happened in the Bible was that this guy, apparently the Son of God, had a bunch of disciples, and then one night, Jesus, the Son of God, washes his disciples' feet. And the disciples were shocked by that, if I'm remembering the story correctly. There's a lot of Christianity in my background. I'm kind of rusty in it. But the disciples were shocked that their master, who was the highest person for them in their lives that they had ever met. You know, this guy goes around healing people. This very powerful individual that's preaching love is now prostrating himself before them and washing their feet. And that is an inversion of authority that is incredibly powerful and very important to our entire society. That's what led us as a society to refine our government more and more until the leaders of our government were seen as servants of the people. How this image right here escapes the vulgarity of the authority prostrating itself before the mob is really located in the way in which that black woman's hand is lifted up. She's completing the transcendence of this symbol by rendering what is given to her up to a higher ideal. And people will say God for that. And if you don't believe in God, God is a very necessary aspect to this symbol. God being the highest ideal, something that transcends every individual there, that they all serve together. Everybody is united in service, right? And the difference between this image and the way in which the mayor was treated was that the activist was the one who was gaining power. And the power of the crowd came down into a very selfish, vulgar, short-sighted, and immediate, bloodthirsty way. And that is the stuff that we need to section off and separate from our society, separate from this protest. And insofar as we want to redesign our society towards the value that all of the communities are served by all of the communities, every community becomes a servant of every other community. And that's something that's not being highlighted in the Black Lives Matter protest writ large, is that if the Black Lives Matter organizers, and I'm sure they're saying this, but you don't hear this a lot, that we have a lot of problems in our community and we need help with our problems in our community. And we have a lot of problems with your community, and your community is causing a lot of problems for us. The Black experience is fraught both from the inside and the outside, and we need help transcending our problems. If that was the attitude that was promoted more by media and by organizers, it would be much more inviting, and people would kind of let down their guard, because it's not about us, meaning people who are outside of the community, being asked for reparations, asked for money, asked for submission to your power now, asked to become slaves to your ideology. You can completely cast that stuff aside if there is a communal coming together and a rendering up to a higher ideal. Now, without God, we're going to have to rely on some very tenuous and rusty ideas that have some problems to them. Not to say that the idea of God doesn't have problems, but what do you put in the place of God? You can have the nation. There's problems with that. You can have the community. There's problems with that. But you can have some form of understanding, some form of community love that does not devolve into vulgarity and into tyranny. And insofar as we are being shaken up very radically, we need to separate the tyrants out from the virtuous. We need to locate the leaders and the voices that are coming together with a common humanity and cast aside those who would cause us even more pain and suffering by reifying pain and suffering. There's no escape from pain and suffering through pain and suffering. There's no escape from bigotry through bigotry. There's no escape from racism through racism. It's not possible. And insofar as there is any escape from any of these things, it has to be in service to a higher ideal. Everybody has to come with in good faith and common humanity in order to free ourselves from the forces that would have us tear each other apart. Wow. I feel like all those sermons I sat through are finally paying off. This is Benjamin Boyce. I will talk to you soon.